Hello again. Today I'm just going to prick out these Rudbeckia, and I wanted to show you how I do it. This is something that I've learnt over the years that works the best to deal with tiny little seedlings like this. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you. Firstly, I get a sieve and sieve the compost, because the tiny little seedlings and they've got very fine roots. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lumps out of the compost, because in the past what I've done is I've planted things straight into the compost as it is, and then when it comes to potting it on further and pricking them out, you get the little roots attached to things like this, lumps of compost, and quite often the little seedlings and the plants can get caught in them and you end up pulling it and breaking the roots. So what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of these lumps, but I will save them. I will do something with them later. I'll put them in the bottom of big pots that I want to use to put in big well-established plants in, so I can use them to line the pots at the bottom. So what I'm doing, take those out of there. This is just an ordinary compost, and then I've got some John Innes. I haven't got any potting on compost, so what I'm doing is I'm just making a mixture of nice fine compost just to show you, because that'll be enough. See, the John Innes is nice and fine anyway. So right, just mix it up like that, as if you're making a nice crumble like that. Look, there you go. Now what I do, I'll just do a few for you. These are my seedlings. Get your fingers and just basically sip it gently upside down like that. Don't be afraid, because you're not going to squash them, and then you basically just let them sort of fall apart like that. So you're not, I've already wet the compost, so you're not pulling the roots or anything, you're just letting it fall apart like that. So then what I do is I like to do them into individual pots. And the reason for that is if I put them into cell trays like this, that's all well and good, but when I want to get that plant out, I'm like messing around trying to get it out, and it's difficult because you risk damaging the other plants. So I found it's easier to put these things into individual pots, because then when I can just tip them upside down and put them on into bigger pots. So that's why I do that. So what you do is basically just rummage around, find a nice healthy looking seedling. Look, there you go. Get hold of it by the leaf, not the root. Make a little indentation and just gently shake it a little bit. Then just sprinkle a little bit more in, because it's nice and fine. And that now will be a little happy little chappy in there. And what you do, right, we'll just put here, tap, tap, tap. Now what that does is it takes any air out of it, out of the pot. So do that. You don't want any air, because when you water it, the compost will sink, and then your plant will end up halfway down the pot. So do it again then. That's another one. I mean, these are so tiny actually. You can just make a little hole like that. There we go. Now, basically, there you go. That's a nice, strong, healthy Rudbeckia. Just shake it like that. Looks a bit crazy, but that's all it needs. Pat, 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 like that. Tap, tap. And then that's getting rid of all the air holes. But also, because it hasn't got loads of big lumps, because the lumps as well, they cause problems in the pot. And they trap air as well. So it's not good. You just want it to make a nice tilth to be working in. So there's another one. What I've got to stop myself doing is actually potting on all of these, else I'll end up with far too many plants, as I always do, and then I'm like, oh heck, where am I going to put them all? So, oops, there's two there. Looks, I don't want that little one. I'm just selecting the best of what I've got, and that's the key, to pick out the best ones. Pat, pat, pat. Oh. There we go. And just on like that until they're all done. I'll just do one more, then that is that. See, just gently, I'm just very, very gently, it looks like I'm being rough, but I'm not. I'm just very, very gently just touching at the compost so it sort of falls away from the roots. Selecting the one I want, put it on its side there. This is how I like to do it really. Fill it in there. There we go. There we go. Now these are quite hairy little things, these leaves on these plants. So what I'm going to do, usually I would put a little fine sprinkler like this on the little seedlings, and I would just sort of water them in now. But what I'm going to do, because they're quite hairy, I don't really want to get a lot of, they don't tend to like the water on the leaves. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently pour a little bit of water around, just to bed it in a little bit. There's no point in standing it in a thing of water at this point, because the roots are not long enough to reach the bottom. So I always do it like this, and then as the plant becomes more established, I can water it in a tray of water, and just put water in the tray, and then it'll just suck it all up. But because the roots are only short at the moment, I just water it from the top just to bed it in. And then in a couple of weeks' time, these will be nice big rudbeckias, and I can bring them on for another couple of weeks, and then pot them on when the roots start coming through, like down the pot. Pop them onto something else. Like this is another one I did earlier. This is a different plant, but this is a campanula. This is the same type of thing. Pot it out. You see that's growing now, those roots now, it's ready for potting on into another pot. So I'm going to take that into the next pot size up. So that's why it's there, it's waiting to be potted on. So that's what you do, you just keep moving it on. Don't let the plants become root bound in the pot, because it just stresses the plant out. If you can keep moving it on every couple of weeks when the roots are growing well, then you'll have a bigger, stronger, healthier plant.